What if the thoughts you've been calling yours were never really yours to begin with? What if every moment of confusion, every rush of anxiety, every flicker of numbness wasn't your failure, but the residue of a system designed to keep you asleep? A system that doesn't need to silence you if it can distract you, that doesn't need to chain you if it can fill your mind with noise. You know what I'm talking about. That feeling you've had, the sense that something was off, even when everything looked fine, like you've been going through the motions of a life that doesn't quite belong to you. And then something pierced through. A phrase, a moment, a silence that felt louder than sound. And suddenly, something deeper than memory rose in your chest, not as a thought, as a knowing. That's not coincidence. That's the call. This isn't a video to pass the time. This is a remembering. The kind that doesn't ask for proof, because it lives inside your bones. And if you're still watching, it's because some part of you never forgot. So take a moment. Feel your body. Let yourself notice what stirs when I say this. They tried to distract you, but the call got through. And now something inside you is stirring, not new, but ancient, not foreign, but finally uncovered. Because this isn't the first time your soul has heard the signal. It's just the first time you didn't look away. In the next chapter, we'll go deeper into the invisible programming that's kept you moving, but never arriving. You'll see how routines, content, even moments that seem like rest, have been designed to numb your vibration instead of nurture it. And most importantly, you'll begin to recognize the difference between spiritual sedation and real rest. The invisible programming that keeps you asleep. You wake up, check your phone. A scroll here, a headline there, a flood of updates that don't belong to your life, but somehow flood your field anyway. Before you've even had a conscious thought, you've been wired into someone else's frequency. And that's not accidental, that's design. We've been taught to confuse stimulation with presence, content with connection, entertainment with rest. But these things are not the same. One brings you back to yourself. The other erases you, slowly, almost lovingly, under the weight of endless distraction. Let me explain. The modern world doesn't need to control your thoughts to keep you asleep. It just needs to fill your day with enough static that your soul's signal never gets through. It's not about silencing you, it's about surrounding you with so much noise that you stop even trying to listen. And here's the trick, it all looks harmless. TV that relaxes you, podcasts that teach, social media that connects. But underneath the surface, your brain is entering a state of passive absorption. You're not receiving wisdom, you're absorbing noise, and over time that noise rewires your ability to sense what's real. Bruce Lipton calls this the subconscious loop, a set of beliefs and emotional reactions programmed in early childhood and reinforced through repetition. The more familiar a stimulus feels, the more likely your body is to return to that programmed state, even if it's misaligned with who you truly are. So the question isn't just, what are you consuming? The real question is, who are you becoming while you consume it? Pause now, feel into this moment. Can you sense the difference between being entertained and being entranced? Because here's the hidden cost of distraction. It doesn't just take your attention, it fractures your frequency. It pulls you further from the subtle hum of truth that lives beneath your mind. And the longer you stay in that fractured space, the harder it becomes to remember what stillness even sounds like. But what if the most powerful truth was hiding where you never thought to look? In the next section, we'll explore how, even through that static, the call still finds a way. You'll see how synchronicities, dreams, and mysterious sensations are not random signs, but deeply personal messages, transmitted through the cracks in your conditioning. Messages you were always meant to receive, The call always finds a way, even through static. Have you ever had a dream so vivid it stayed with you for days, even though it made no logical sense? Or glanced at the clock and seen the same numbers, 11:11, 2:22, again and again, like a rhythm chasing you through time? Or maybe there was a sentence someone said, something ordinary, maybe even random, but it hit you like lightning. You didn't understand why, you just felt it. That wasn't just coincidence. That was contact. When the mind is cluttered, the soul speaks in symbols. It doesn't fight for your attention, it doesn't shout. It weaves through the cracks, through music, through timing, through déjà vus, through the soft ache in your chest when you pass a certain place or hear a certain name. That ache, that pause, is often the soul recognizing itself. Edgar Cayce spoke about this often. He believed that higher guidance doesn't speak through dramatic intervention, but through subtle remembrance. That guidance doesn't scream, it waits. And when you're ready, even if you don't feel ready, it shows up in ways your nervous system remembers, even if your mind doesn't. Here's the truth most people don't say out loud. The call doesn't come to convince you. It comes to remind you. And that's why it hurts, because somewhere inside you already knew. Let me give you a visual. Imagine you're in a crowded room, music blaring, people talking over each other, and far in the back, someone calls your name, not loudly, but with the exact tone your mother used when you were 5. You turn, not because you heard it, but because your field did. That's what soul messages feel like. They bypass cognition and activate recognition. You don't process them, you feel them. And you feel them because you've always carried the memory of their frequency. So if your life has been chaotic, if everything seems to be breaking, bending, or falling apart, this is not a breakdown. It's often the threshold. The pattern we see again and again is this. When the structure you built no longer matches your essence, it begins to collapse, not to punish you, but to make space for what's true. You've seen it before. You just didn't know how to read it. Now we go deeper. Let's talk about a different kind of trap. One that looks like healing, sounds like growth, but quietly keeps you stuck. We'll explore how the very tools we use to wake up can become cages when they're not anchored in real vibrational shift. And in that chapter, you'll meet someone who's been through it. Someone whose story might sound more familiar than you expect. Be careful with the safe spaces that keep you stuck. There's a danger no one warns you about. A trap that doesn't look like a trap. It feels warm, familiar, even sacred. And that's exactly why it's so seductive. It's the illusion of healing without transformation. You light candles, you repeat affirmations, you pull tarot cards, you meditate every morning. You know all the words: alignment, surrender, presence. But inside, there's a quiet hum of something unresolved. You feel still, but not free. You feel spiritual, but not expanded. Because not all peace is real peace. Sometimes it's just elegant avoidance, and sometimes the rituals we cling to become the very cages that keep our souls sedated. Let me tell you a story. Her name is Rachel. She's 46. She teaches yoga at a local studio and runs a small online community. People love her voice. It's calming, grounded, always seems to know what to say. Her Instagram is filled with light, soft colors, quiet quotes, bowls of herbal tea. But here's what no one sees. At night, when the world stops needing her, Rachel feels a quiet emptiness. Not loud, not tragic. Just this lingering sense that she's orbiting her own life, close to something true, but never quite touching it. She journals every day, trying to catch the thread. She does breath work, sound healing. But deep down, she knows she's been performing peace, not embodying it. She's built a temple of tools, but left her truth outside the door. You see, Rachel found comfort in what was familiar, and that comfort became her ceiling. She didn't realize that repeating mantras without vibrational shift is like whispering truth into a locked room. It never gets in. And yet, there's no blame here, because Rachel isn't lazy. She isn't fake. She's just like so many of us, doing everything right and still feeling off. Because what she was missing was risk. The risk of being real, of stepping outside the curated calm into the messy, radiant truth that doesn't always sound pretty, but always sets you free. Let me say this gently, not every safe space is safe for your soul. Sometimes the things that soothe you slowly silence you, not out of malice, but out of habit. Joe Dispenza says the body is addicted to familiar emotion, even when that emotion keeps us small. And so your own nervous system, if left unchecked, will recreate the same day, the same reactions, the same frequency, in the name of safety. But what if you weren't meant to stay safe? What if you were meant to stay true? Let's pause for a breath. Let yourself feel that question without needing to answer it. And now we'll explore what happens when your frequency is trying to rise, but your energy stays stuck in almost. We'll go deep into the silent tension between who you've been and who you're becoming, and why doubt is often the static that blocks your transformation, the silent factor that sabotages your frequency. There's a moment, subtle, almost invisible, when your soul starts to rise and your mind pulls you back, not with force, with logic, with fear disguised as practicality, with thoughts like, what if I'm wrong? Or, what if I lose everything I've built? This is the moment most people never name, because it doesn't look like sabotage. It looks like hesitation. It looks like being realistic. But what's actually happening is vibrational paralysis. Your field is expanding, but your beliefs are clinging to the old frequency, refusing to let go. Let me explain. Your energy system is built for coherence. It wants alignment. But if you've been living in a loop, emotionally, mentally, even spiritually, then anything new will feel like danger, not because it is, but because it's unfamiliar. And that's where doubt creeps in. You start to second-guess your instincts. You hesitate before following the inner nudge. You overanalyze what used to feel clear, and in that pause, that delay, your signal gets distorted. You begin to mistrust yourself, but here's the thing. Your soul doesn't need you to be certain. It needs you to be honest, because clarity doesn't come before the leap. It comes through it. And the more you try to understand your next step, the more you drain the power from it. Now let's go deeper. Why does your energy stay stuck in almost? Because there's a part of you, ancient, protective, that believes staying where you are is safer than becoming who you truly are. Even if where you are is tight, painful, misaligned, at least it's familiar. And the familiar is addictive. You don't need to force your way out. You need to listen your way through. Pause for a moment. Breathe gently. And if you wish, close your eyes and let this question echo inside you. Where in my life am I shrinking just to stay predictable? Let the answer come. Not in words, but in feeling. This isn't about fixing anything. It's about remembering. Let me offer you a shift, a way to clear the static. Try this. Sit in stillness. Just 1 minute. Tune into the space behind the noise. Now breathe in slowly, and with your exhale, imagine releasing the need to control. Not the need to care, but the need to control. And in that empty space, listen, not with your ears, with your field, because the soul doesn't shout. It sings in frequencies that only silence can reveal. Now that we've opened that space, it's time to talk about the myth that keeps most people frozen on the edge of change. The idea that you must be ready before you move. You'll see why your soul never needed perfect timing, only your honest yes. The myth of readiness, why you already were. I'm not ready. It sounds honest, it sounds wise, but more often it's not truth. It's hesitation dressed up as logic. It's a soft, familiar way of saying, I'm scared to move. You tell yourself you'll step forward when you understand more, when you feel more confident, when life gets quieter. But here's the secret your soul already knows. Readiness isn't a prerequisite, it's a consequence. You don't become ready first. You say yes, and then the readiness arrives to meet you. Because your soul doesn't need perfect conditions. It doesn't ask for certainty. It listens for resonance. It waits for the moment you stop asking the mind for permission and follow the frequency instead. And that's the piece most people miss. They think transformation happens after they feel clear, but it's the act of moving that creates the clarity, the leap that creates the ground, the yes that cracks the shell around the next version of you. Let me explain something you may have never heard said this way. Readiness doesn't live in the mind, it lives in the field. It emerges through alignment, not planning. And every time you delay your soul's yes in the name of not being ready, you train your field to expect postponement. You strengthen the belief that something outside of you must give you permission to begin. But that's never been true. Pause here. Take a slow breath. And if you're willing, ask gently, what would shift in me if I stopped waiting to be ready and simply trusted the pull? That doesn't mean rushing. It doesn't mean abandoning caution. It means honoring the part of you that already knows and letting that knowing lead. And if you're still with me, thank you. It means something real is stirring. You didn't just hear these words, you felt them. Take a moment and share with us in the comments. Have you ever said yes before you felt ready and only afterward realized that was the moment your life began to shift? Your voice might echo something someone else has been aching to hear. And if this message has touched something deep in you, subscribe, be part of a space that isn't about perfection, but presence. This is Echoes of the Path, and we're walking it together. In the next section, we'll explore how to clear the vibrational static that clouds your ability to hear the call. You'll learn a practice, not for your mind, but for your field, that helps you return to the place inside where clarity already lives. Quantum practice. Silence the noise and hear the echo. There is a silence that doesn't feel empty. It feels alive. Not quiet as in nothingness, but quiet as in everything finally becoming clear. It's in that space that the soul speaks loudest. And it's in that space that the real call becomes undeniable. But here's the challenge. We've been conditioned to fear silence, to fill every pause, to interpret stillness as laziness, or worse, danger. Because in silence, there's no distraction, only reflection. And sometimes that's exactly what the noise was built to avoid. Let me walk you through a process. Simple, direct, transformative. Step 1, breathe, but not just any breath. Bring awareness to the space just beneath your ribs, where tension tends to hide. Inhale gently through your nose. Hold it for 3 seconds. Then exhale slowly through your mouth, as if you're fogging a mirror. Do it again. Feel your body respond, not with drama, but with presence. Step 2, set intention, not with words you think you should say, but with the frequency of honesty. Ask silently, what do I need to hear that I've been avoiding? Then release the question. Don't analyze it. Let the energy carry it where it needs to go. Step 3, anchor a symbol. Close your eyes. Let an image arise, something that holds meaning for you. It could be a tree, a light, a sound, a memory, a person. Don't force it. Let it choose you. This symbol becomes your echo point, your soul's way of saying, I'm still here. Pause now. Feel the space you've just entered. Notice how the noise didn't have to be fought, only bypassed. Here's the deeper truth. The soul doesn't demand attention. It whispers, and it whispers in frequencies so subtle that only real stillness can detect them. Neuroscience confirms this. The brain in deep stillness doesn't shut down, it lights up. Parts of the mind responsible for creativity, empathy, and intuition begin to activate. You don't lose yourself in silence. You find the version of you that was always beneath the static. Let this be the space you return to, not to escape the world, but to tune it out long enough to remember your own sound. In the next section, we bring it all together. We'll talk about why the very parts of you they tried to bury, your sensitivity, your intuition, your emotion, were never flaws. They were maps, and now you're about to see why those weaknesses were always the doorway back to yourself. What they tried to bury was the map back to you. From the beginning, they told you to stop feeling so much, to stop being too sensitive, to toughen up, to think rationally, to stop making things so complicated. But what they were really doing, maybe without knowing, was covering the map. Because your emotions, your sensitivity, your inner knowing, they were never the problem. They were the compass. The part of you that could never be fully programmed, the part of you that kept vibrating beneath the noise. You were taught that being emotional made you weak. But what if that deep feeling was your soul's radar? What if every surge of energy, every ache in your chest, every "I don't know why, but this feels off," was the way your field was trying to redirect you? Let me give you an image. Imagine you're in a dark room, no lights, no guide, just your hands and your breath. And slowly, you realize that you're tracing a map carved into the walls. You can't see it, but you can feel it. And if you trust your hands, your senses, you begin to remember the path. That's what your sensitivity is, not noise, not weakness. A tactile memory your soul left behind to guide you back when the world got too loud. You feel because you remember. You cry not because you're broken, but because something sacred in you refuses to numb. Everything they tried to bury, your instinct, your inner voice, your strange sense of knowing, those were the coordinates, the real GPS. Not powered by logic, but by resonance. And all the distractions, they weren't just random, they were walls built to make you forget that the doorway was always within, but here you are, still feeling, still sensing, still remembering. Let that be your proof. The call never left, and the part of you that can still hear it is the part that was never silenced. In the final section, we'll return to the truth that started this entire journey and expand it. You'll remember why you're not watching this by chance, and how your presence here is itself a response to the call. We'll close this space not with an ending, but with an invitation to keep walking. They tried to distract you, but the call got through. You made it here, not just to the end of a video, but to a threshold, the place where something deeper in you is no longer willing to stay quiet. You've felt it, haven't you? The distractions are still out there, the noise still loops. The systems that benefit from your disconnection still hum, still seduce, still promise comfort over clarity. But now, you see them. And more than that, you feel something stronger. A pull that isn't coming from outside, but rising from within. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, but it's clear. You heard the call. It may not have come with angels or visions or thunder. It may have arrived in a sentence, a silence, a single line that cracked open your knowing. But it got through. And now your journey is no longer about becoming something new. It's about remembering something ancient, something encoded in your breath, your bones, your being. A truth that says you are not lost. You were just temporarily surrounded by noise. Pause now. Feel that. Not in your head. In your field. You are not broken. You're being retuned. You're not behind. You're awakening. On soul time. And the path ahead? It's not laid out in steps or schedules. It unfolds each time you choose presence over performance, alignment over approval, vibration over validation. So here's what I want to ask you. If this video stirred something real, tell us in the comments. For connection, your voice might be the sign someone else was waiting for. And if this space feels like home, subscribe. Join us. This isn't just a channel, it's a field, a resonance, a gathering of souls who are done numbing, done hiding, done waiting. Watch the next video we've chosen for you, not because it's content, but because it carries the next thread of this remembrance. And finally, hold this close. You are not at the mercy of the external world. You are the field that transforms what vibrates around you. What you feel is trying to teach you what you forgot. Your energy is a language, and the universe listens. Welcome back. Welcome forward. We're so glad you're here. This is Echoes of the Path, and your echo just got louder.